awareness when it comes to um, sexual abuse and identifying it in young people, or I always keep a hyper vigilant eye out on adults when they're interacting with children because of that. And that's really the main thing that how it has affected me in my adulthood. I didn't know until probably close to in my 30s that a woman was something that I was supposed to achieve. I just felt like a person just in the world here for whoever's, desire or whatever. But I was never taught to really have my own desires and my own goals and my own esteem.
Deep, very, very, very deep. Okay, so we've touched a lot because we want to bring awareness to childhood traumas and how it affects children and the things that are going on in the houses and how adults need to have more supervision over our youth.
Hmm.
Because a lot of kids are being abused in homes and it's being swept up underneath the rug, and it's not fair. Because if you're 12 years old and you have a man that's 22 years old and they think this is acceptable, but you have multiple men, so it shows that there is a pattern of inconsideration, right? To
Absolutely.
the youth. um let's jump into, because you went through some domestic violence as well too.
Well,
um
I consider the incest domestic
Domestic
because it
violence.
is in family, and it was violent because it was a violation. But I've been in one relationship that was very short lived. Because although I did not feel like I had a voice to tell people not to advance me sexually, one thing I didn't feel powerless to stand up to is people hitting me. So I didn't view hitting and unwanted sexual advances as the same kind of violence. And I kind of treated them differently. I felt like I owed people sex, but I didn't owe them the opportunity to hit me. So I was dealing with a Jamaican guy at one point, and I didn't like him anymore. So I dismissed him, and I immediately got on the phone in my apartment. I was probably between 19 and 21 at this time, and started talking to another friend on the phone. And he doubled back and stood at my door and listened. So when I looked out the window to see if his car was still there, he was smart enough to go park it around the corner and then walk back. So when he knocked on my door, I didn't know it was him. And as I opened the door, he bop, and he choked me until I passed out. He had, like, one of his fingers was cut off when he was a kid, so all he had was a stump on his thumb, and he took his thumb and pressed it into my eye socket. And to this day, that's why I wear glasses. I didn't wear glasses prior to that. So he pressed it into my eye socket, and he choked me with my shirt until I passed out. But by the grace of God, my mother happened to knock on the door, bringing my 4-year-old, he was 4 at the time, home to me from whatever outing they were at. And he stopped attacking me, when the door rang. And I remember him slapping me, telling me, get up, somebody's at the door. I got up, I went and answered the door and act like nothing happened. He didn't tell me to act like nothing happened, but I act like nothing happened, and I let my kid in. I don't, for the, well, I know why. I've never been able to go to my mother to say, save me. So I didn't feel like tell her, I'm in danger was the thing to do. So I just received my kid, and my son and I went into the bathroom, and I always mounted a phone on my bathroom wall, and I called 911 from there and had the police come and get him. And they took him. I eventually had to go to Janine Shapiro to interview, who was a New York State district attorney for domestic violence at the time. She has like a judge show now and everything, and get a restraining order. And that was the extent of, um, you know, him beating on me. Uh, After I left that apartment, I moved to another apartment, and an older man in the neighborhood saw me, took a liking to me, and he started hanging around me and my, younger friends. And one day he says, that's my wife. Like, my parents weren't married. Marriage wasn't a thing that, I knew people to aspire to. It just wasn't part of my reality. So I was like, oh, how you gonna marry somebody that never asked you? Mind you, me and the man are not dating, we're not courting, we're not even flirting with each other. He just